This is Taylor with the Denver Sports Betting Show. This segment is brought to you by CD Wings. We are here with our UFC betting experts, John, Dylan, and our special guest, fighter Ben Bennett, who is just coming off a victory at BYB this past weekend in Denver, Colorado. So, Ben, I'm really excited that you're here on the show, man. I'm looking forward to talking to you. I was there at the fight. I saw it. The crowd was electric. They responded to everything that you were doing, man. It was so great to watch. Tell me a little bit about the fight. How did leading up go to it? How did you get this fight with BYB?
So I was in a little bit of a dry spell looking for a fight. They had a show coming up, and I've been really wanting to get into it for a while, actually. And just something that was only stand-up is the area that I'm working on. So I hit up Karate Combat and BYB got back to me first. So I said, let's go with that.
Beautiful. Okay, so you have some experience, obviously. You have some wrestling experience. But what intrigued you about doing something stand-up only?
Well, I mean, I just fought on Contender series, ESPN, Vegas, just a few months ago. And it was really heavily wrestling focused, and it didn't really need to be because I have the skill sets to fight guys on the feet. I just got really kind of pulled into that direction for a long time. And I was like, dude, I just need to put myself in like a pressure cooker and just make myself work on these things.
Absolutely.
And, there's no better way to do that than in a small triangle where you're only allowed to use your hands, you know, and the consequences are dire. Like, you make small mistakes, you pay for it. So,
and that's what a lot of people don't understand about BYB, right? It's the smallest fighting surface there is out there, right? It's a small triangle, so you have nowhere to run. You have to face that. So I just got a question, though. What's the difference? How different does it feel when somebody hits you bare knuckle versus the MMA gloves?
Well, the straight on shots don't hurt they feel similar because the straightforward shots, but it's the glancing shots are way worse. Like, I've done 40, I think, one MMA fights, and I've never been hit like that. That sucked. The glancing shots, the sideways trajectory shots are very painful.
Okay.
It's like getting hit with a bat. Like, just not hard with a bat, just bink. It's not good. It's not fun.
And like, sorry. When you were training for this fight, how did you train to like be in a triangle compared to an octagon?
I just closed off the spaces that I spar into smaller, just roped them off. I wasn't able to really get ready for a triangle. It just kind of, if I was training in a cage that's like more of a hexagon or like a circle, I just put a rope down the center. So it's kind of a half triangle-ish thing. So.
Were you working your pivots a lot more and just kind of directional stuff, being able to get around in that small environment?
Yeah, to be honest, like, the biggest thing I noticed with bare knuckle is that no one really knows what they're doing. There's a few guys that have it figured out, but when I took the fight, I just binge watched bare knuckle for like hours, and I started seeing a lot of patterns. And the biggest thing is like how guys block, and so many guys have trained their whole career to block here, and the best guys, like the pound for pound bare knuckle guys, they're just bringing their arms up. Their defenses are just so different. They bring their arms up really high. They move their head a certain way. And so I really just worked a ton of blocking because I already understand how to move people. Like, in MMA, like, I have some of the best cage work out there, you know, and some of the best, like, grappling, wrestling type exchanges that you can get. So I wasn't as much worried about that. It was more just when you're stuck in those corners and you have to block multiple shots. It's just how you're blocking. You cannot just keep your hand up like this. They're going to go right through, right? It's like staying super covered, keeping your chin tucked, which is what everyone says, but you have to keep it super tucked. Like, you can't like bring it up a tiny bit because it's just so easy to get caught. It's just the margin for error is just way tighter.
Do you think that preparing for a fight in this environment is going to, and hopefully having fights, continued fights in this environment, are going to give you the stand-up game that you're training for, that you're looking for?
Yeah, 100%. Mainly it's because part of like being a good stand-up fighter is just like a mindset. Like, I'm going to get right up in your grill, and I know I'm going to get hit a little bit, but like, I'm going to put the hands on you, you know? And when you're fighting constantly and you can just shoot a double leg, you know, you kind of takes that pressure off you. So like, it wasn't just the actual fight, it was the training camp, because it was just so much like tech sparring, and like, it just hands the whole time. So it really does. And also like the mentality thing, because I don't really care about my record with BYB. Like, I don't really care. I'm going to fight like an animal. like where in MMA, like it's really important I win my next fights, because if I win even one more fight, I'm gonna get signed. So it's like I fight a little more cautiously, which sucks, you know, but I need to blend those two mentalities a little bit, like the being really high IQ and then also being like, I'm trying to put on a performance and make people want to come back and watch me.
Sure.
So and BYB, I can just let it all go. Like, I don't care.
Being
like,
in that environment allows you the opportunity to create that muscle memory on the stand-up. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you have to, because when you get hit, it sucks. It's like, it's very noticeable. Like when I got hit with not this shot, but this shot, like it was just pure white for like a second. And it's like, just keep moving. Your eyesight will come back. And it came back, and I was, Jesus Christ, dude. Wow. Luckily, it was at the very last second of the round, the last second of the round. So I was able to recover for a minute, but I don't know if I didn't have that minute, I don't know. I'd be hanging out with you guys.
Wow. So that's great, though. That leads us into, you got an impressive victory, right, in the city that you train out of. Like I said, I was there. The crowd was going crazy when you won. When you stood up on the ropes, man, it was awesome. So what's kind of the next goal for you? What direction do you want to take it now? Do you want to keep working on your striking? You going back to MMA?
So I haven't got this approved by the coaches, but in my own like best scenario, I'm just going to split my days for training. Like I'm going to do my boxing training in the mornings, and then I'm just going to go do everything I regularly do. And then whatever fight pops up first, I'm going to take. Like if a BYB option pops up, I'm going to take that. If karate combat or MMA option pops up, I'm going to jump on that. I'm just mainly just trying to stay active. But, and just like whoever's paying well, you know, as well. So I'm just going to train both, because they're both going to help each other. So
absolutely. No, staying active though, that's awesome, man. Especially that keeps you in good shape, keeps you ready, keeps that IQ high, right? As long as you're being in there, getting that work in, that's what you need to be doing out there, progressing up. So yeah, that's awesome, man. So that's so great. We are a betting show though, so I do got to ask you a betting related question. So as a fighter, as going through the weight cuts, going through the training, experiencing everything of media weeks, all this different stuff, do you think, number one, are you a big sports bettor? And do you think it gives you an advantage knowing kind of what's going on behind the scenes for these fighters leading up to these big fights?
I think that a huge advantage that I would look for in betting, I'm not a crazy big bettor, but all my friends are, and I give my opinions on it. I just don't take the time to actually do it myself. But a big advantage that I always look for is like how the camps are going. Like, because there's so many people come through our gym, and I listen to like, oh yeah, I was just training out there with them. And if I were to bet, things I would be asking about, like, did he switch gyms? Did he bring some new trainer in? Like some of these things are like, switching camps and going with a new trainer, from what I've seen, is sometimes like not a great thing, unless they've been with them for multiple camps. If they're excited about a whole new game change in the way that they fight, I'm not betting on that guy probably, because it takes a while to implement new things. It's mostly what is happening in the rooms that I would base my bets off of, not as much what happens in fight week, because you're already like mentally strong at that point, you know.
Sure.
At the UFC level, you are, right? Maybe not on like some of the smaller shows. Like that might affect some randos fighting, but like on the highest level, that stuff is less of a factor, I feel. It's more about like anything that came up in camp that's like, oh, interesting, okay, you know?
Absolutely.
I've seen so many guys be like injured going into their fight, or they were having problems with other people on the team or something, or they moved to a new group and they're working on things. I'm like, there's no way you're going to get this down in 4 weeks, you know, before your fight. And like, that's just going to get you hurt. You know?
Sure. So keeping an eye on like what their specialties are, seeing if they're trying to train in something else, like switching up too late into the game plan or too late into the camp, having too big of a possible game plan change that is going to kind of leave them at a disadvantage when it comes to the fight.
Yeah, and a lot of times those changes are what's needed, but it takes several fights to implement things, in my opinion.
Cool.
Like you kind of got to learn the new things and then be like, I'll try a little bit of it, but I'm not doing everything different, because this doesn't work as well that way, I don't think. So. Yeah.
Absolutely. So being a Denver show, a local show, I want to give you some time to shout out to your gym and your coaches and all that, because that's so important here. Denver is such a big fight community, such a big fight state here in Colorado. There's so many different teams. So is there anybody on your coaches or your teams that you want to shout out that helped you for your amazing victory that you had at BYB?
Yeah, I do want to shout some people out. So Carrington Banks is my head MMA coach, and he signed off on me taking this fight and revolved a lot of our practices around me kind of doing only the boxing, which I thought was nice because there's 60 people on the team, and he was able to let me have a corner and train. And then I have 4 teammates, Ryan, Jarrell, Chris, 3 other teammates, Ryan, Jarrell, Chris. They are always making sure they're helping me and all coaching me and stuff. And then the last group of guys is a guy out at Genesis, Jake. He's their head coach out there, Jake Ramos. He came in and cornered me, gave me an amazing hand wrap. I don't think I've seen some of the wraps that the other guys use. It's not so great. So he gave me an amazing hand wrap. He was in the corner. He did an amazing job, and I'm going to continue to work with him when I do bare knuckle fight. So.
Yeah, I think that's important. There was one fight going on earlier on the card where the guy was grabbing at his hands the whole entire fight, and every time he went to ground, he got popped in the face because of it. So that's really important. So that's amazing. It's really important as a fighter to have a good team, have some good coaches. So it's really, really cool, and it's awesome that you're here in Denver. So thank you so much for this segment. Guys, what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to discuss the upcoming UFC card on Saturday.